Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We must not forget that this issue at its core is about human health and human life. Mr. Abbs, you testified that in the community of Richmond, San Pablo, rail activities increased the risk of cancer by 20%. Meanwhile, CARB estimates that the rule would decrease cancer risk in communities around major rail yards by over 90% by 2045. Environmental justice communities bear the true costs of polluted air, so they must be centered in any discussion about costs and benefits for policies such as this. So my first question is, can frontline communities near rail yards in the Bay Area hope to achieve healthy air quality standards without significant reductions in freight rail emissions?
Thank you for your question, Ranking Member. So the simple answer is no. We've done significant work in frontline communities, especially over the last 10 years, communities such as West Oakland, Richmond, San Pablo, that have, as I mentioned, locomotive operations, port traffic, a lot of industrial facilities. It takes effort in a lot of those areas to get reductions, to even get those frontline communities down to the risks of the rest of the Bay Area that doesn't have those industries nearby. But locomotive operations and getting those cancer risks down through increased locomotive regulations is absolutely critical to get even close to what we would like to see in the frontline communities.
And it's very common for industry to claim that ambitious new air quality standards are impossible to meet and new technologies are immature and infeasible. But time and time again, new standards are enforced, our environment becomes cleaner, and the sky does not fall. How does the industry's resistance to rail decarbonization mirror other sectors' reluctance to adopt previous air quality standards? And should past experience make us optimistic about industry's ability to adapt to this rule?
That's a good question. So our primary role as a stationary source regulator means that the Bay Area AQMD routinely tightens or strengthens regulations on sources of industrial pollution, and we do find, as you say, every time we'd like to strengthen regulations to lower emissions, the first argument is that it's not achievable, it's not cost effective. We're going to leave the Bay Area, we're going to leave California, but time and time again, what we've seen in California in general, we've managed to increase the state's GDP, become the fifth largest economic powerhouse if we were a country, and we've done that by making California cleaner. And so I think we can do both, and this regulation would definitely get us in that right direction.
Thank you for that. Mr. Dick, thank you also for your testimony today. As this is a science committee hearing, we always appreciate the presence of technical experts, and we have a firm commitment to scientific transparency. Your publication history shows that you've authored or co-authored at least 37 papers since publishing your dissertation. How many of these papers were funded in whole or in part by the Association of American Railroads?
Yes, thank you. I'd estimate that depending on the particular topic, most of my papers particularly focus on railway operations, so approximately half of those publications would have had some high-level partial support when I was at the University of Illinois from the Association of American Railroads through gifts to the academic program there that are given at a very high level.
By my count, roughly half of your academic research papers, as you've noticed, have been funded by industry, and the primary source of that industry funding has been AAR. In fact, you even thanked AAR for your support in your dissertation itself. I want to be clear. Industry-funded research is not inherently problematic, and I respect your expertise. However, I think it's important for the hearing record to reflect that your research funding has been highly dependent on support from an organization represented here by one of your co-panelists. The testimony you presented today is closely aligned with AAR's position. That's not a given. There is a wealth of scientific research pointing to the technological feasibility and cost-effectiveness of railroad companies switching to cleaner technologies. So I think it's important to note that while 3/4 of the panelists today are coming to identical conclusion, that does not reflect the balance of the full scope of scientific literature on the issue. Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I request unanimous consent to include numerous